Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a review of a thriller from Belgium. This is spoken in the English language, released in the year 2011, directed by Latif, and this film is called The Devil's Double. Now The Devil's Double is a real account of Latif Yahia, who was Uday Hussein's body double. Uday Hussein being Saddam Hussein's son under the brutal Saddam Hussein regime. So Iraq were constantly in a grip of fear, as Uday Hussein especially was the most reckless, and he just did absolutely anything, had a blatant disregard for life, and he comes up with the idea that he wants a body double. So he sees that his father's got a body double and it's working well for him, so he wants one, so he doesn't have to do commitments across the country, he can just send his body double. So he's after a body double and he comes across Latif, who was part of the Iraqi army. Now Latif at the start, he declines the offer, that he says he doesn't want to be a body double, but then he is tortured and he is told that if he doesn't become his body double, then he is his family are going to be brutally killed. So he is left with no other option but to be the body double of Uday Hussein, and this is what starts Latif's nightmare. So he goes into a world of depravity, forced to witness the horrible atrocities that Uday Hussein is committing, and so he realises that in order to get out of here alive, because of Uday Hussein's increasingly unstable moods, he is going to have to escape, and escape is going to prove so much more difficult than he could ever imagine, and whether or not he can do this is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Devil's Double. This is an absolutely terrifying film. And I thought if this movie wasn't in the hands of such a talented filmmaker, it wouldn't be as hard-hitting. Now, Lee Tamahori had made Once Were Warriors, which is a fantastic New Zealand film, probably the best New Zealand film ever made. So when I saw that he was tackling this subject, I thought it was going to be good, and I wasn't let down. This is a very good film. It depicts a part of the Saddam Hussein regime that not a lot of people talk about, and I actually feel Uday Hussein was the most the most interesting character. And you know, when we think about Iraq, you always think about the atrocities that Saddam Hussein committed, but you don't hear too much about Uday. So for the simple fact that it was taking on the role of Uday, that's what makes you captivated. It makes you interesting, it makes you very interested, and makes you feel that this guy was even worse than Saddam. Although Saddam Hussein was crazy, you felt that his mood was stable, but this guy's mood was completely unstable. And the things that he did in the film just gave a constant threat to him, and you felt that he could snap at any minute and that no one was safe around him. And then when you get to the later stage of the film where Latif is trying to escape, it creates so much suspense, because as soon as Uday Hussein finds out, he's going to flip and he's going to kill a lot of people. So it's a very suspenseful thriller, but at the same time a very interesting biography sort of film that depicts one man's desperation stuck in a very, very desperate situation. So basically what you got here, on one side you've got Uday, on the other side you've got Latif. Now both of these characters are played by the same guy, Dominic Cooper. And a lot of these sort of performances where an actor has to play the role of two people, you feel to yourself that they're not two different people. They've got the same sort of characteristics, and the actor being involved in this can't really separate himself into two major characters. So that's the skepticism I had coming in with Dominic Cooper, but Dominic Cooper gives an absolutely flawless performance. I think this is one of the most underrated performances in cinema. I thought his role as Uday Hussein was just completely nuts. There are some truly horrific moments of violence, some very gory scenes, some very, very high impact scenes of torture. I don't know how this movie got passed off as an MA rated film. It should have been R18, because the violence does hit you very hard, but it doesn't glorify it. It doesn't show you as a lifestyle that you'd want to be in. It shows Uday Hussein, who is increasingly losing his mind, and you feel that everybody around him, even Saddam Hussein, felt that Uday was a threat, and that this guy was a true monster, and not many people talk about him. It's always about Saddam Hussein, but Uday Hussein, I feel, was the most morbid, he was the most psychopathic, and to me he was the most interesting. So when I saw that Lee Tamahori was making a movie about this and about Uday Hussein, I thought it was going to be really good, and it is very good. So the pacing of the film is very good. As I said, at the start of the movie you get an insight into how Latif came to be what he was, and then in the second half it's much more of a thriller, and the thrilling aspect worked so well because, as I said, there's so much threat. So the acting performances were an absolute knockout. Dominic Cooper is the best part of the film, shows you just why he is the actor that he is. You know, he is not overrated, and if you think to yourself, you know, you're not quite won over about Dominic Cooper, go and see this film and I'm sure you'll be won over. So as I said, it's a very violent film, it's very shocking, there are some very shocking rape scenes, so it's definitely not a movie for children, but if you go into the film knowing that it's about Uday Hussein and thinking that it's going to be for children, you got something wrong with you. But it's a very interesting take on what is a very unnoticed kind of man. Uday Hussein took very much a backseat to Saddam, but it was Uday who really gripped the country in fear, because it just felt like he was completely uncontrollable, and yeah, he could just flip at any moment. Therefore, there was a strong sense of dread. So the cinematography is very glorified. It feels like this guy's leading a playboy lifestyle, but it's not glorifying Uday Hussein himself. It's just showing you all the riches he had, how spoiled he was, but then towards the end of the film, it starts to go down an even darker route, and you feel that his personality is completely unraveling. So thank God Uday Hussein is not around anymore. This guy was a true monster, and I thought the film depicted the monster that Uday Hussein was very well. So you've got this image of Uday Hussein, you hear stories about his torture, and then in the film you think to yourself, yep, I think Lee Tamahori has captured Uday Hussein perfectly. That's exactly how I thought he would be, and it's just a very thrilling film, but at the same time a very scary film. So Latif, on the other hand, very good guy, but he's had his family threatened. You feel to yourself that he is forced to try and become the exact copy of Uday, but this guy has a shred of decency about him. He feels that things happening aren't right, but he's forced to go along with it, otherwise he's going to be killed. So it does show you the desperation of a man caught in a very horrible situation very well. It's a very thrilling film, and at the same time a very interesting one as well. So overall, for The Devil's Double, I'm going to give it 4 stars, and it's coming highly recommended. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.